So tonight we're just working right now with the Mondo installers.
Across here.
Okay.
Don't leave me too many little pieces.
Well, they haven't.
I don't want them to shift too much.
We're going to work throughout the night, and obviously he's going to cut out the area that we're going to essentially put Coach Harter's name and dedicate the track to him. He doesn't even know that he, we just took his signature off of a document that he had signed. I know.
He owns this place now.
That's what Brian and I talked about. We were like, man, because, when you get down to his H-A-R-T, yeah, it looks funny. The E and the A are, it looks more like an A. So I'm giving him some hard time about
I was
that.
going to have people forging documents on them all over the country.
Good thing he's retiring. The process will take 4 or 5 hours, but we think by the middle of the night we'll be complete, and then put some bricks on it to hold it down and let it cure. And Ryan Roeder will come back in the morning and he'll take the bricks off and we'll cover it up.
This morning we just cleaned things up. We put bricks over the logo until the glue dries, and then pick up the bricks, and then we covered it so that Coach couldn't see it, hopefully.
Thankfully, we've been able to keep it surprise so far, at least to our knowledge. And the unveiling will be obviously this production of some sort at the banquet where Hunter will unveil it to him and let him know that this is happening. And obviously, this will be part of the process. And then Friday, it will be uncovered and be a permanent fixture of Tyson Track Center.
I walked over it earlier that afternoon because it was covered with a piece of Mondo. And I'm like, why did they put the Mondo here? This doesn't belong here. And so then I said, I got to get my rear home because I got to clean up and go to this event tonight. That event absolutely blew my mind.
In February, when they had the tribute for him, so many of his former athletes came back, and that was just so gratifying for both of us.
What was really special is that my children and my grandchildren were there. My mom was there, and that was really special, being 94 years old, and that she could be there to witness. I sit down, and I'm just looking forward. So all I see is the podium and the respective person that is speaking. And I wasn't sure what was going to happen at all, whatsoever.
Hey, Coach, I'm not going to go back through all of your accolades and the national championships that you've won and the conference championships that you won and the Coach of the Year awards that you've won, the All-Americans you've touched, because that's all on the track. And tomorrow we will compete at the SEC Indoor Track and Field Championships and all future meets at the Randall Tyson Track Center on the Lance Harter track.
That was absolutely beyond my wildest dream. When they threw that up on the TV that I could see, it looked like it was embossed or painted. And then when they said no, and I saw Ryan standing to the side giggling, I was like, oh my God, they etched it in next to the Razorback. So it's good for at least a year, so before they resurface. The next day, my peers from the SEC said, can we have permission to run on your track? And that's when it kind of like, you've been an asshole about it, but it just kind of put everything in perspective that, hey, I'm a pretty lucky guy.
That's huge when you go somewhere and it's named after someone. Even if you don't know who they are, like if it's some random fan from Kentucky, when they come here and they say, oh, we're running the national championships on the Lance Harter track, they're gonna be like, who is Lance Harter? What did he do? When you think of Arkansas women's track and field, you can't help but to think of Coach Harter and the legacy that he's left.
Don't be surprised the start is fast.
There's none better. There are generals in this game. There are good men in this game. There are good coaches in this game. But Lance has been successful wherever the Lord has allowed his feet to touch. There are people who work hard. There are people who toil. There are people who do this job, by the sweat of their brow. But he kept his head down and he kept working, knowing that eventually there was going to be a breakthrough. No one else around him had faith to believe that he could build a powerhouse. He knows how to develop champions. He knows how to put a team together. He gets them ready for war.
He's just done so much, and to see one man care so much, he just made it so simple. He told me nearly every race, why not you? Why not you?
Lance has been successful throughout his entire career. And what is so beautiful about this story, the latter part of his career, he's been more successful.
It was bigger than track. Coach Harter is about much more than track, and the success of this program speaks to that.
I look back at the last 20 years of his career. It's been a bestseller.
His legacy is forever lasting.
The blessing from my life was to be a part of track and field. Somebody told me this weekend that, do you know you've been coaching for 6 decades? And I'm like, and it's hard to comprehend. 51 years to be exact, but it started in the 70s and here we are today. I'm from Northern California. That's where my roots are, just north of the Golden Gate Bridge. I was a surfer, an okay athlete, but the weather and the temperature of the water is so cold that we did a lot of running on the beach just to be able to keep your heart moving. It was just so cold. And somebody saw me running and said, you ought to go out, you run nice and smooth. Why don't you go out for the cross-country team at the high school? And so I was going from 8th to 9th grade, talked to the coach, he welcomed me, and that was the blessing from my life, was to be a part of track and field, and was hooked ever since. It was only a couple of years later, my dad got a job transfer and we moved to Denver, Colorado. And that's really where my career as a runner really took off, because I was recognized by college coaches. There was no one in my family that had ever been to college. So this was a new avenue that I had no idea that could even be a possibility. A bunch of my friends that I raced in California, they were going to school at Tech. And I was fortunate to go on scholarship, be part of a Power 5 type program. And, we had some success, but I was able to get my degree and was anxious to start coaching. Was very motivated to be a college coach, but most ADs are too smart to hire a 22-year-old or 24-year-old to be a college coach. So an avenue opened up where I could start a brand new high school program in Southeast Denver called Smoky Hill. That was the greatest learning experience of all time. When you're a high school coach, you have to be the oracle of the sport. I had to learn every event. I loved it, but it really prepped me perfectly for the Cal Poly job. I was 29 years old, and again, the head coach, no paid assistants, and having the entire program. Fortunately, again, because of the high school background, it gave me enough confidence and resilience to be able to coach all events. But again, it just made me more and more resilient about expectations and so on. And then fortunately for me, we were able to attract a lot of good athletes in a relatively short period of time. And 2 years later, we won a national title.
Coach Harter went on to win 13 national titles with Cal Poly. including 8 straight NCAA Division II trophies between 1982 and '89. He was even named D2 National Coach of the Year 10 times during his tenure, a resume that forced some of the best track programs in the country to come calling.
I'd already turned down UCLA and University of Southern California. Those were two that, because of the big city environment, to raise young family. So there was these other opportunities. Tennessee was probably the one that was most serious, a great opportunity, but it just didn't feel right. And I always said, how does it feel in your gut? And I always use that same to recruits, is get away from the recruiters and so on. How does it feel in your gut? And it just didn't quite feel right. But when I got the job here at Arkansas, it just felt perfect.
Bev Lewis was here in 1981, was the women's head track coach, and then women's athletic director for a long time, and then executive associate athletic director. I was moving from being women's track coach up to women's athletic director. And so having known track and field, I knew who the best coaches in the country were. And I set my sights on Lance and determined, hopefully he would be our next head coach. I went out and was at a cross-country meet in the fall and talked to him and told him just kind of quietly that I was moving over to the athletic director role and wanted to hire a head coach that spring, and that he's my first choice.
Bev said, hey, I would be very interested in you succeeding, in my place. That immediately kind of was an automatic of, oh my gosh, you have an athletic director that understands track and field, because most don't. And understand you go from cross country to indoor track to outdoor track. When people talk about it's a year-round sport, yeah, it's a year-round sport for all sports, but we have 3 national championships that you're also, physically and psychologically and emotionally preparing for and recovering from. And that's very, very demanding.
I knew Lance had turned down a number of Division I schools. We had a good women's program. We were finishing, some top 20 finishes and stuff, but we were living in the shadow of John McDonnell. And, I just felt like Lance was the person who could take it from there and bring it up to that nationally competitive notch.
Everybody knew that Arkansas on the women's side was a sleeping giant, because John had proved it on the men's side. So I was talking with my dad and I said, hey, we've got another opportunity. It's at Arkansas, so on and so forth. And he said, well, what else are you going to do at Division II? You already mastered that level. Why don't you take the challenge and move to Division I? And so he never mentioned that at UCLA or USC, but at Arkansas, I think there was something, and they had never been here, but they just felt it was perfect.
Lance Harter was hired as the Arkansas women's track and field head coach in 1990, his first time ever at the helm of a Division I program. But as soon as he arrived in Fayetteville, the landscape of competition was suddenly upgraded, as the Razorbacks would leave the Southwest Conference behind.
I'm thinking, okay, we're going to be in the Southwest Conference. I can get up to that speed pretty quickly, but when you're talking about LSU and Tennessee and Florida and these proverbial people that are winning championships just like they're just commonplace, boy, I don't know if that's a good idea. And that's what I told Bev the day she pulled up behind me as our moving van arrived. And then she goes, do you have a coat and tie? And I'm like, in that truck. And she goes, well, you need to get one. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she goes, tomorrow you need to be at a meeting at 10 o'clock at the law school, and we're doing an announcement that we're joining the SEC. I'm like, that's a really bad idea. Because we're going to go from junior high school to college overnight. I knew the mountain that we had to climb.
They're calling the Hogs across the Southeast Conference tonight as the University of Arkansas Board of Trustees approved the move to end a 76-year tradition.
To win at the conference level was much easier in cross country than it was in track. And so we had to get our foothold somehow, and that was cross country.
Harter put his stamp on the program quickly, winning 5 straight SEC championships in cross country, as well as 3 straight national runner-up finishes in 92, 93, and 94, giving the coach the momentum to build a well-rounded team for the future.
Really gave us a lot of momentum in the recruiting world where, hey, Arkansas is alive and well and is for real. And this program is gonna really take off. The real evolution that occurred was the coaching staff. Bev was open to the idea of bringing in a full-time assistant coach. I was gonna put that person in the sprints and jumps area. And so then I was able to attract Lonnie Green. And Lonnie was this hyper energy, enthusiastic sprint jumps coach. And we were at a conference championship indoors and we're battling to win our first SEC title. And we came up short by 4 points. And Bev came to me and said, what is it going to take to get over the hump and win an SEC title in track? And I said, a full-time paid assistant coach. And that's when I brought on Brian Compton. And so now we had another specialist that complemented my strengths and Lonnie's strengths. And so that's when the threesome really took off.
I got here in '98. When I first got here, you were in the shadow of John McDonald's. I mean, we won a lot of cross-country titles. So we knew we had that block taken care of in the SEC. And it's just, we had to get a formula where we could score in the sprints and the field events and the multis and pole vault to where we could start winning SEC titles. I think we kind of figured out what we could do in the SEC, where we could score and what was going to work for us.
With Coach Harter at the helm of the distance program, Lonnie Green handling sprints and jumps, and Brian Compton in charge of field events and multis, it ushered in the program's first truly complete team and attracted different caliber athletes who would lead the program to new heights.
We had an amazing group of women from cross country, indoor and outdoor track, and that's why we started doing so well with the SEC.
Our team was pretty good, but I didn't realize the talent we had on our team, and we started doing really, really well, and we started kind of dominating in the conference, and that allowed us to dream bigger dreams. We had the men's team, which was phenomenal, and we wanted that. We wanted a piece of it, and Lance was helping us figure out how to get that done.
They had a big vision in mind as far as what we all had to do to come across the first SEC title.
It was just snowballing. I had to take care of my end in cross country.
Just stay in the fold. The race isn't going to be decided until about the last half mile.
And then obviously the indoor team and the outdoor team were very aware of what was going on. And when cross country won, okay, this is the beginning of a potential triple crown.
When cross country won, he was like, we can win indoor SECs. And he was like, hey, y'all know what triple crown was? And I was like, no, I heard about it, like horse racing or something like that. But I didn't know what triple crown was. I've never won a triple crown before, and I always like to make history.
Everybody jumps on board to do it indoors, and then if you did indoors, you gotta take care of business outdoors.
Those girls back then just doubled and tripled to win conference titles. We went down to LSU, and I think we only took 15 girls. I mean, we knew we were going to win it. That's how strong they were.
We were very, I don't want to say confident or cocky, but I guess we kind of were, but we all came in and was like, okay, we won cross country, we won indoors, we won outdoor SECs. We was like, let's finish this thing off. And so we went to the store and brought little tiaras and brought t-shirts to the meet at SECs. So the meet, you don't know you won the SEC meet until the 4x4. That's when you know, or either right before or after the 5K, you know if you have a chance to win. But we brought in to his vision, we brought into what he sold us to finish it off, and so that's what we did. You know, that's what we did. We went out there, got the Triple Crown, brought our t-shirts to the SEC meet. Kind of made some people mad, but you know, it's all good. That's part of track and field, that's being competitive. competitive, and that's what Arkansas is. We're competitive.
Harter led his Razorback squad to its first ever indoor and outdoor SEC championship in his 10th season, and would win back-to-back conference triple crowns in 2000 and 2001. But after making program history, the team fell from its sole spot atop the conference, but still found success. For the next 11 years, Arkansas women's track would win 6 SEC titles and earn as many top 10 national finishes, including a 4th-place trophy indoors in 2011. In 2012, after 16 years with the program, associate head coach Lonnie Green would depart for the head job at Purdue, leaving Harter with a need for a new assistant coach.
Chris Johnson, University of Arkansas, women's track and field. I'm in charge of sprints and hurdles and relays. Coming back into 2012, obviously I was at Penn State for 8 years. When Lance gave me the call, it was a no-brainer for me.
It was an easy transition, because he had been a GA here, so it was a natural fit for us. I don't think we were going anywhere else besides Chris and GiGi.
Having that opportunity when Coach Harter called Chris, my husband, to come back was just kind of like believing in things in full circle. And so to come back and was like, okay, Coach, we couldn't win you a national title, but we're gonna find some way to get you to get that national title, because he has such a strong legacy at smaller schools, and he brought that to Arkansas and brought that mindset. And so him giving us that vision was just so amazing.
And so then we had this, what I called the three-headed monster, where Chris has been labeled a phenomenal sprint, hurdle coach, and jump coach. Brian is the vault guru of the United States. He's a former decathlete himself. We would complement each other when we go into a conference title or a national title. We had points coming from different avenues.
Top 10 NCAA finishes, including a 4th-place trophy indoors in 2013. The team was climbing back into the regular national discussion, and then came 2015.
2015 was a special class.
That year, we knew that we had people on all sides. So we obviously had Dom Scott, Taylor Ellis-Watson, Krishana, Sandi was on that team. And so we were just really deep in all of our events.
We had superstars. We had Olympians.
Keying on Dominique Scott because she is the key to Arkansas's NCAA title.
We all believed in ourselves before anyone else did. Of course, our coaches believed in us, but we weren't being written up to be the favorites. People were definitely overlooking our team, but we all knew that we were going to be able to pull out something special when the national championship came around that year.
We knew we had balance across the board, from the vault to the sprints to the distances. Everyone was committed and on board. Being at home just escalated the excitement.
Inside the Randall Tyson Track Center on the campus of the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville, we are proud to present the 2015 NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships. The host Arkansas Razorbacks have never won the NCAA team title. They are poised to do exactly that here at home, but it's not going to be easy.
National titles don't come across very easy, and when you got a team like that, you want to make sure that you take care of business and win that national title, especially your first one.
I think on that Nationals Day, everyone just hit.
I felt like Coach Harter just instilled this level of belief as well as confidence in the team going into the championships. It started off on Friday night on the distance side. We won the distance medley relay, which was really exciting.
Powering down the home stretch, getting the second fastest time ever in the DMR.
It's early on, but the standings are tied at the top. Georgia with just a half a point lead over Oregon, then Arkansas and Baylor tied.
There was no lulls or moments that we doubted ourselves. We felt Coach Harter and Coach Johnson and Coach Compton we can win this. Take what's ours.
Texas, and here comes the Razorbacks.
Every single Lady Razorback that competed that weekend scored a point.
She's certainly going to want to try and get the 8 points for second place for Arkansas.
everyone was taking care of business, and that didn't then give me any like nervousness. It just gave me confidence. Like, they've done their part, it's now your turn to do yours.
As we get ready for the 3,000-meter run for women, Oregon with just a 1.5 lead over Arkansas, and she only needs to finish 7th or better to clinch this meet for Arkansas.
The 3,000 was the final event prior to the mile relay, and it was pretty secure that Dominique had to score a low place, and there was no way that was going to be possible.
The 3K went exactly as I expected it to. I just kind of hung off the shoulders of the girls in first place, and with a couple laps to go, took the lead.
Here goes Scott. Elise Craney is chasing her.
Dominique Scott now into the lead. She only needs to finish 7th for Arkansas to clinch the title. This place is going to go absolutely nuts if she wins this race.
In the course of that race, you kind of knew, hey, this is it. This is the real deal.
The fans are standing and cheering, giving the Razorback cheer. 5,000 people just roaring here.
Dominique Scott in full flight. The Arkansas senior is running the University of Arkansas women into the history books. Arkansas with the very first NCAA title in their history on the women's side.
Was able to get the win, and I remember calling the Hogs and then getting off the track, and Coach Harter ran up to me and like picked me up in his arms and said, like, we just got the win, like the 3K had secured the team national title. That I'll never forget.
I just want to do it for Coach Harter. He's such an amazing coach, and the fact that I was able to do that this evening means the world.
Coach Harter, on behalf of the NCAA, congratulations to you and your team, national champions.
First women's title ever at home in front of this crowd. What does this mean to you and this university?
This is a dream come true. Anytime that you can make history, it's a very special moment, and we're going to cherish it as long as we possibly can.
In all of your years of coaching, where does this rank?
Oh, number one. I mean,
here we are. We're at the top.
As a coach, that's the pinnacle. That's what you want to be able to accomplish. I think it was just Coach Harter's turn. I mean, he had put in the work. He's been diligent and consistent over and over again to get close and get close and get close and finally get over the hump. It happened. It set the course to let the country know that Arkansas had a legit women's track and field team, and we're here to stay.
It's different once you've actually won and now the target is on your back, because before that, Arkansas didn't have a target on their back as on a national scale because we hadn't actually won. We knew going into the season that everybody was going to be watching us, that there was going to be an expectation.
The next year, in 2016, Arkansas had a single goal in mind: continue the climb. But to do that, the Hogs would have to best one of the premier track schools in the country on their home turf.
Oregon, they were so dominant.
Dethroning a team that, you have a lot of respect for them, but then you come in and it's like, it's our time.
We were hungry and we were eager because once you get a taste of something, you want to execute.
We went to that outdoor meet in Eugene, Oregon in June, and we won our first team outdoor title.
It was something that was supposed to happen, being in Oregon and being able to end their streak, if you will.
We came to win it, and we did just that. We did what we said we were going to do.
now we have a set. We're excited. No, we're ecstatic, obviously. We kept worrying about Oregon putting something together, and my gosh, they just did a fantastic job of, inspiring us to try to stay a step ahead. And, obviously the kids continue to rise to the challenge.
It was just really good to put a light, I guess, on Arkansas and allow people to see, like, we do track. We do track here. Like, you don't have to go to Oregon to win championships. You can come right here, and we have coaches that are gonna take us there.
I think momentum is so important in sports. Once you've done something once, you don't have to be dreaming of doing something anymore. You've done it. You have the proof that you can do it again.
2015, 2016, those years really started establishing us as a very dominant force in women's track and field.
It's like he got it rolling and it just, momentum started building upon itself.
I've always said to a lot of my coaching peers, winning is contagious.
And it was. Harter's program won 3 straight SEC Triple Crowns, 2 national titles, and solidified itself as the pinnacle of track and field, seemingly able to climb no higher. That was until 2019.
It's hard to pick like which year is the best year because there's been so many good years. But 2019, the Triple Crown.
Obviously, we knew we had a good team. Did we know that we were going to be able to have a Triple Crown? That would be difficult. And I just think it takes some special moments and the ability to rise to the level that it demands.
It was a comeback team. I think that was just the mindset of everyone. Everyone was like, we're doing this. Taylor might get her.
Werner is going to take it. It's Taylor Werner over.
I know the girls in their locker room, they kept putting write little quotes and says, win nationals, Triple Crown, it starts here. So every time they leave the locker room, they see what's on that whiteboard.
The tone was set like, okay, everyone's on the same page here. Like, we don't have to change a thing. We have just got to keep going.
GiGi Brown of Arkansas in the middle of the track. Chadwick of Arkansas. Brown, Chadwick, and
meet after meet, we were just continuing to dominate and do well. And then, we got to the indoor national meet.
What a great championship this will be. Take a look at the Division I indoor rankings. Arkansas Razorbacks, they have been #1 all year long. Trailing them, USC, they've been #2 all year except for 1 week. That's the battle at the top to be sure. The points table. I don't remember ever being nervous because we had already done it. Everything we had done that season, we didn't have to change anything and we were going to do well. Unless these teams came in and performed way better than they had. 15-1.5 on the second attempt. Arkansas picked up 21 points. Just had to bring it home, and I remember just bawling. So I was like, I cannot believe we just did that. I wanted it to happen, we knew it could happen, but for it to all plan out, it's just euphoric. In the outdoor title, it was so hot outside. It was in Austin, Texas.
But USC was building this phenomenal track team. And Austin outdoors, she's going to go in as the favorite. We're in the conversation.
That first day, we were behind big time. We had a meeting the next morning and the coaches made it clear. They were like, USC is outperforming and we're underperforming. And it was like, ooh, okay, didn't think that was the case. And everyone just stepped up.
They just did a phenomenal job of being able to execute at the right time.
I think we were reminded of the team that we were, the team that won indoors, and we really wanted to win. We really wanted to win. And next thing you know, Dominique won the hurdles. Kiara placed top 5 in the 100. I think you go into those meets thinking no, it's gonna happen. You don't think it's gonna happen by luck. You make it happen.
During the vault, which is one of our weapons, the twins were jumping and one of them was having, so to speak, an off day. And so Sis picked up the slack.
Lexi was hurt. Tori just stepped in and just said, nah, okay, I got this covered, and won it there. And she won it on her last jump that she had to make.
We were behind the whole day, and then I was in the 5K, and I don't think I was even expected to score.
USC now with an 8-point lead over Arkansas, but Arkansas has 2 opportunities to score here in the 5,000 meters. USC it does not. The only event they have remaining is the 4x400 meter relay. So let's just keep watching closely. Arkansas up in second, and boy, do they need her points.
That's kind of where I was like, oh shoot, like I didn't realize like the weight was kind of being put on my shoulders a bit. And then as I was like walking out to do my warm-up, Coach Harter came up, put his arm around me, as he always did. And he was just like, Taylor, just why not you? Like, why not you? Why did these other girls? And that was always the thing he told me right before these big races was, why not you? And I remember doing like a 5-minute warm-up. You didn't really need to warm up, it was so warm. But I went out and jogged, and I just got so hyped up. I was like, you know, I'm gonna help this team. I'm gonna do my part. And the whole team, other than that 4x4, were just standing all around the track, just screaming for me the whole time.
Danny Jones of Colorado.
I don't even remember how I felt, but just like gave it my all the last lap, nearly won the race.
But Warner is gonna get second and score 8 for Arkansas. That is more than that was projected or expected.
I looked up at the scoreboard and we were tied.
Look at what we've got here. 56 to 56, and they both have a relay team in the 4x400. So whoever finishes
it came down to the 4x4. They have the fastest time in the nation.
Being a primary coach at the event, obviously you're going to have the conversation. Basically, whoever won the my relay was going to win. It's just about taking care of the stick at this point.
From the inside, Texas A&M, Arkansas, South Carolina.
I was in the interview tent at the time, and they were like, do you want to watch? Even though I was like shaking, I was so nervous.
But USC is in front of Arkansas. That's all they saw.
Peyton Chadwick running for Arkansas. If she's going to make a move, she's got to do it right now.
Anna Cockrell.
It was on the third leg, and Peyton was making a move, and I'm on the opposite side of the track. I'm on the back stretch, and all I see is a baton fly.
Turn and Peyton Chadwick going wide. Oh my goodness, Cockrell drops the baton.
Oh my gosh.
And there
the baton goes down, we get away.
For my mental state, when USC dropped the baton, it was like this sigh of relief.
Aggies, Arkansas handing off second. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
They were not gonna lose regardless. And then Kathleen grabbed the baton. I don't think she even knew that they dropped it, but she just took off. No one was gonna beat her that day. She really won the dang race.
She's really closing the gap, but it's gonna be South Carolina, Arkansas second with 8 points for second.
And that seals the deal. We win by a couple of points.
Just won! Oh my gosh, that's good.
It was just so emotional that this was a possibility that could happen. And I just remember being red-faced, sunburned, and just climbing over the stands down onto the track to be with the athletes. And it was such a special moment. To get the gold is really special.
Carrying another title back to Fayetteville. Just how significant is this one to do it yet again in this 2019 season?
Well, anytime you can win a national title, that's a very special moment, no matter how many you accumulate. But I have a fantastic staff with Chris Johnson and Brian Compton. And then with the athletes that we're able to have, I mean, they're so special and they're so united in what they wanted to do in this weekend. And the national title was always the challenge at hand.
We somehow won it. I don't know how. I don't want to go look back at the data because we were all just like, yeah, we might lose it, but we're going to try, and it happened. And then to come back that cross-country season, we were all just like, okay, it's going to happen this year. We had so many good girls. Everyone was healthy, and it was like, we're going to do it. We're going to do it because we just did it twice in track. Why does it have to change?
Can this be the year of the Razorbacks? Can they win outdoor, indoor, and cross?
Can they win this race?
There's just lots and lots of positive momentum. And then in that summer, the distance crew started going, wait a minute now. We had a team that was going to be very, very formidable. Out of the way, ladies. Just tuck in and carry each other.
As the year went on, I could tell Coach Harter was getting more and more nervous, but we weren't phased. We were like, we're gonna win. Like, you need to trust us. That was the mantra for the season. We're gonna win.
And Coach kind of always liked to be modest and be like, yeah, I think we can finish podium. He always sell himself short. He'll be like, yeah, I think we're 10, but he really knows they got a shot, but he don't want to say it out loud. And I'm like, Coach, you want to say y'all can win, but you just don't want to say it out loud.
And they are off. The 2019 NCAA Division I Women's Cross Country Championship is underway.
And what was really special is GiGi, Chris's wife, had it playing for the rest of the track team.
Seeing those girls just line up, give it all they got, and then cross country is different because in track and field, okay, you finished 10th. You don't know until you're counting runners. There's a million runners out there.
But Arkansas, BYU, we're going to really have to pay attention on that finish line to see where things shape up. Kaladi right now.
BYU took it from the front and tried to run away from us. Stanford was challenging from the back late in the race, and we were able to handle both challenges, and the result, by the slimmest of slim margins, was a national cross country championship. The rest of the track team, their enthusiasm, it gave us chills. That unified attack representing Arkansas was through and through.
I had a lot of track people message me and was like, we don't have that at our school. And I was just like, wow, this is something Coach Harter, really, this has always kind of been his vision.
Track team did such a fantastic job to pull off the upset indoors. Wait till the mile relay outdoors to pull off the upset. And so, this was like, okay, we got 2 of the steps, now can we take the 3rd? This is the crowning achievement. 2019 will always be prominent in my household.
To have all 3 line up in a calendar year is miraculous. Something that will get to be a part of history for ever and ever.
After winning all 3 national championships in 2019, Lance Harter had proven he really could do it all. But he wouldn't stop there. He would go on to win another national title indoors in 2021, becoming the first team in history to claim the gold without placing number 1 in a single event. But on November 2nd of the same year, with 6 NCAA championships under his belt, Harter would announce a timeline for retirement.
Just an amazing career, and as Lance and I visited some this summer and started to talk about his future and the future of our women's cross-country and track and field program, we started to put the pieces together for him to retire following the 2023 season. And he's got a lot of pride in what he has built here, and he wanted to hand the baton off to his associate head coach, Chris Johnson.
To have the staffs that I have in years past and present, it just made kind of a natural opportunity and break to walk away. And so Hunter and I, sat down and chatted about it, and July 2023 sounded like the right date. But between now and then, we still plan to win some other championships. Okay, we want to make sure that's clear. We're not going to take a break.
Harter's Hogs would win their 44th SEC championship on the Lance Harter track, before setting their sights on the bigger prize.
I'm telling them, y'all don't want to be that class that didn't send the man who's the winningest coach at the University of Arkansas. You don't want to be known as that group, that class that doesn't win for Coach Harter when he's on his way out, And they're like, you're right. You don't want to be part of that. And so I think his group bought in.
Up and away, it is the 2023 NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships. Albuquerque, altitude athletes, exceptional.
We knew we had a great assembly of talent. Going into the national meet, things were really coming together. We knew we had a battle with University of Texas, and University of Florida.
I mean, we're ranked third going out there. Nobody gave us a shot. It went back and forth.
The hurdles come out, Kira wins the hurdles and sets a record. The 400 comes up, we set another record, and then it's going to come down to the mile relay. And I thought we had a pretty good sized lead. I called Kim and I said, okay, where do we stand? She goes, you're 2 points ahead. I said, oh my gosh, I thought we were farther ahead than that. So we do need to beat them head to head.
All right, it all comes down to this.
We knew we had a really good team. Wasn't necessarily concerned about running fast. We were more concerned about we got to beat Texas if we want to win a national title. So if all things went well, we could run really fast. I don't know if we thought we were going to run that fast.
They just ran away with it.
Arkansas is going to win this race and the team title. Oh, by a lot. 3:21.76.
World lead in a 4x4, and I mean, when I said style, I didn't mean break American records, Britton Wilson. I didn't mean break collegiate records, Akira Nugent.
I think everybody just kept rising to a new level.
If there's not one meet that goes down in history for Coach Harter, that probably the Triple Crown, the National, and then that meet.
It's a big deal for a coach to win those titles. He always made sure to remind us that it was us that did that. And he would always be like, that was all you guys, that was all you guys. And never really take credit. And I think that just speaks volumes to the kind of guy that he is.
He's a person who I always say is doing what he was meant to be doing. Coaching is what he was meant to be doing and impacting those lives.
He can see in an athlete what their abilities are and help you believe in yourself and probably reach.
Some people look at it and they're like, it's just college track and field. But while I was there, it was everything. And he made it everything. He just made it so simple. People are like, oh, like, did he give you any crazy race plans? No. He told me nearly every race, why not you? Why not you?
One more than the twist. Let's try not to.
I think Coach Harter will never be too far away from the track. I'm sure he'll always have a stopwatch in his pocket.
Not a girl, go whip!
I think his legacy is just like how he stuck with the sport for so many years and didn't get discouraged and kept building. How are you still doing this year after year? 3 seasons per year.
To see him end his career on such a high note and be able to go out with national championships and now his name on the track, that is incredibly.
I think when I came here, Bev said, when she kind of passed off the baton, you just need to take it to the next level. That was her very words. And I think we've done that. When I make that exchange to Chris, hey buddy, you got to take it to the next level. I'm not sure how much room he's got, but at least keep it there. I count my blessings each and every night, and I think that to be part of something so much grander than yourself is truly, truly special.